Okay. Well, that's wonderful. I guess my internet went out, so that's fantastic. Um, okay. I think I'm back. Maybe. Okay. I think I'm back. Hopefully, maybe. Am I back? That sucks. You know what? That sucks. Okay. Well, hopefully everybody will find their way back in here because yeah, I guess I lost internet. So that's fun. Nothing like losing internet during a live podcast. Great. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna get back into it. This is gonna be a weird one. I'm gonna have to do some stuff to figure this out, but yeah, I'm gonna get to the show now because yeah, hopefully everybody finds their way back over here. I don't know. That sucks. Stupid internet went out, and that's not a normal thing. That doesn't usually happen. So that's pretty shitty because then anybody that was in here is now gonna have to try to figure out. So come back if you're here. Come back. I mean, if you're not, you're obviously not watching, but hopefully you are. If you're back and we're in the chat before, Rick Allen, my mom, and Cold Art Maker. If you guys are there, hit me up in the chat. I'm gonna get the show going because yeah, hopefully the internet doesn't go out again. Some idiot probably did something stupid and didn't follow directions like I was talking about earlier. So let's get to it. Let's get into things before something else bad happens. And we're gonna start with some boxing because we got Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois that happened this past weekend. And this was a Riyadh season card, of course. Those are the biggest cards these days. They're putting on all kinds of shows. I'm annoyed that my YouTube live control panel is not working. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Hopefully it comes back up. There it is. All right, cool. We're back. Fully back, I mean, because everything I'm looking at. So sometimes when things go wrong and go crazy, I have to fix things. And yeah, my setup here is a little intense sometimes, and I gotta figure out what the hell's going on. So, but I think I got it now. I think we're back. So hopefully everyone finds their way back over here. And it just sucks that I lost that first stream because yeah, the first one is just gonna be nothing now at this point. But getting into the boxing, Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua happened this past weekend at Wembley Stadium. It was a pretty big event, and to say the least, it was an exciting fight. I wish I would have watched it, but I did not. I didn't watch it live, but I caught all the highlights, and it was a pretty good card. It sounded like, and a pretty good fight, especially with Joshua. Ever been to Los Angeles and San Francisco? I've been through LA. Never been to San Francisco. I've been to San Diego a bunch. I've stopped at LAX, but I've never really roamed around in LA. So I wish I would have gone when the Comedy Store was gigantic and Rogan was there and everybody was there. It sounded like a good time, but I never got a chance to go. That's unfortunate. San Francisco does not sound like a place I want to go to, so we'll just stay away from that one. But yeah, Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, that was a great finish there. Daniel Dubois gets the KO, and I mean, it was a pretty exciting fight. I mean, Anthony Joshua was definitely the guy everyone thought was going to be coming out and doing big things. Similar to, oh man, this guy. Yes, that Dubois definitely caught that chin of Joshua. Rick, I'm not sure that you could do that, but but yeah, so I do want to show the KO because it was crazy. Like, to see Anthony Joshua just came off of knocking out Francis Ngannou, like in a big way in his last fight. So everyone was thinking, okay, he's gonna be high off that Ngannou knockout, and yeah, he came in and he caught a taste of his own medicine, getting caught with the big KO, and here it is. I mean, he was doing well in the fight, and he was catching Dubois with some punches, but he got knocked the fuck out right there, and that was just a nasty knockout. Couldn't get up. One of his cornermen even threw a towel in, as you can see right there in the middle. Let's watch that again. I mean, caught that couple good right hands right there, and bam, gets caught with that right hand from Dubois. Let me look at him. And then as he tried to get up, he did this. He pulled an old breakdancing move, and yeah, I kind of felt bad for him. There's his cornerman running in trying to save him. It was a nasty KO, man. And for Dubois, I mean, that was a big win for him. A big way to get a win in a fight like that. You know, it's one thing when you catch the win by unanimous decision or something like that, but to get a big KO like that against a big name like Anthony Joshua, holy shit. And of course, there's all this talk around the internet as to whether Joshua should even keep boxing, should even keep fighting at all, and stuff like that. It's just one of those things. I don't think it's necessary yet to be calling for him to retire or anything. And I'm not sure everybody was taking it that far, but I mean, Joshua has had his ups and downs in and out of the cage. He's okay with $100 million bank account, bro. I know, I get the money, man, but you know, the money doesn't make up for the feeling you have when somebody knocks you the fuck out like that in front of everybody, when you just came off of knocking someone else out, which, you know, a lot of people can say, shit, that was an MMA fighter. You know, somebody's never fought in a big, you know, boxing match like that, except for against, you know, Tyson Fury. He's only had one big fight, but Joshua made him look like an amateur, even though Ngannou looked good against Tyson. But, you know, the money's the money. They do make a ton of fucking money. The MMA fighters are the ones that should be saying what Rick Gallen just said about that Crimea River. But that's the risk he's, yeah, no, for sure. That's basically his job, but it still sucks. And I feel bad for him just for getting knocked out like that, but that's the game. I mean, you're right. I mean, that's the risk you take. And he took a big risk, and he's standing in the pocket, and he gets knocked the fuck out. So, you know, at least he gets to land on a big fat paycheck, and you're right about that. So I agree. But yeah, that was just a nasty knockout for Dubois, and for oh man, for Anthony Joshua to get knocked out like that, holy shit. But that was the excitement for the weekend, and the only big event that really happened. So there's not much more to say about it. We'll see how Joshua bounces back from this. And we'll see, you know, who he comes back to fight. Dubois is going to be looking for a big fight after knocking out somebody like Anthony Joshua, especially in that fashion. So that was about it for the weekend. The weekend action in combat sports. The big boxing match was really all that happened. So moving on to Dana White's Contender Series that happens every Tuesday. This was week 7 for Dana White's Contender Series. And of course, there was 5 fights on the card. That's usually what they do. But politics ain't my thing, man. I could say what I want. Someone's always gonna be against me, and no matter what side I'm on, really. So I don't know. I don't get. Especially here, I'm not getting into politics because don't need it. Do not need it. But Dana White's Contender Series happened. We had 5 fights. It's pretty decent night of fights. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I did watch some highlights from most of them, and I have them for you here now. Actually, let's see, some hard names to fucking pronounce here. I don't even know. Schoenfelder versus Voigtgen, Frunze versus Kutsi, Christian versus Mazo, Viejos versus Teague, and Tenara versus Conceição. You're a little softy for being too scared to talk about politics. Hey, what the fuck? Hey, it's an MMA podcast. I'm not here to talk about politics. So when it comes to that, yeah, you can go somewhere else. Because it's not what I'm here for. It's not what I'm entertaining your little fantasy of knocking me out. But politics is not my thing. That's why I don't have a political podcast. You got to go find those. So yeah, that's how that goes. But Dana White's Contender Series happened Tuesday. We got some big wins and some obviously some contract winners. But here's your first one. Frunze against Kutsai, and Frunze just ground and pounding him out and gets the finish here in the second round in a welterweight fight. And then we move on to
now he's coming forward like he always
Schoenfelder versus Voigtgen, and you get that knockdown, and he quickly
he's in deep.
Gets
That is
that
in very deep. That's not legging though.
And sinks it in, gets the top, so he gets the win there. Voigtgen, I believe is how you say his name. He was hyped. Dana White was impressed by that one as well. That was a good knockdown, and dude, good fight IQ there to jump on that choke right away. He knew he hadn't hurt. He knew if he sunk it in quickly, that was going to be the end, and he got the win. Then we had Christian versus Mazo. And this was a nasty sub as well. You could see he's trying to lock up the triangle, turns it into the armbar, and quickly gets that tap because, yeah, that was going to break if he didn't. He had that one sunk in nice. You could see he bloodied him up as well. Oh, well, it's over. So I must have missed that one. I guess I had the volume on one of the videos, but that's all right. Yeah, sunk in that tap real quick, that arm bar. So that was good. And then we get to Viejos versus Teague. And man, he pieced him up. Look at those fucking shots. Teague just couldn't handle it. Dropped and got finished. Viejos looking like a beast. And Dana White was definitely impressed by that one. So look at all these punches he landed, man. Flush too. I mean, that dude's hair is kind of poofy and flying all over the place while he's getting punched, so it makes it look worse. But those were definitely some solid punches, and definitely a good finish there. So, and for the contracts, we got every single fighter, or one fighter from every fight got a contract. Thaynara, I believe is how you say her name, got a unanimous decision win, I believe. Let me look at that real quick. Yep, unanimous decision there. Viejos got a TKO KO in the first round, as we just saw. Kevin Christian gets the win. Daniel Frunze and Danilo Voigtgen. So those are your contract winners. I'm thinking Viejos is definitely one to look at coming up when he gets into the UFC. He's fighting at, let's see, 145. So that's featherweight. So that should be a good division for him, and see where he goes with that. Couple good submissions. So not too bad of a night there for Dana White's Contender Series. MMA and politics are intertwined. Dana White loves to blow Trump's penis. I didn't even see you wrote that. Yeah, Dana's him and Trump are friends. They're fans. I mean, he's a fan of Trump. They're friends. Trump's a fan of fighting. He's been intertwined in MMA for a long time. He even owned an organization for a little while. So Dana has a lot of respect for him as a businessman. And of course, he becomes the president, and now Dana's speaking for him at, national conventions and stuff. So it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, that's another reason why I don't need to get into it. But those are your contracts for Dana White's Contender Series on Tuesday night. Let's move into UFC Fight Night 243 happening in Paris. UFC Paris, I should say, because it's happening in Paris, obviously. But Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. A lot of French fighters on this card. That's usually what they do. Hate to break it to you. Okay, like I said, I'm not on either side here, but yeah, I know you'll have a lot of people that aren't gonna agree with you, but I mean, it doesn't sound like you have great leadership in Canada either, but that's just what I hear. I don't really know. It's politics. I don't care. But Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis, the main event here. Then you got Nasruddin Imavov versus Brendan Allen. These are both really great fights at the top of this card. A couple of other ones there that we'll get into, but let's see. Down at the bottom, Chris Duncan versus Bolaji Oki in the lightweight division. Jacqueline Cavalcanti versus Nora Cornell in the bantamweight division. Let's see. Aylin Perez versus Daria. Man, that is a tough last name, and I'm not even gonna try to say it, but that's a bantamweight fight there. That could be a good one. Aylin Perez has looked pretty good in her past few fights. I think she might be coming off she's on a 3-fight win streak, and she beat Jocelyn Edwards in her last fight. And she's also a OnlyFans girl. If you want to check that out, go for it. But yeah, she's definitely active on OnlyFans, and she's not afraid to hide that. So you watched a couple random YouTube clips and decided Canada doesn't have great leadership. No, I said that's what I heard. I don't know. This is why I don't comment on it. Someone's always gonna have an opposing opinion, and I don't get myself wrapped up in politics for a reason. There's too much blah 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 bullshit all the way through. You get the people that are the homers for this and the people that are haters on that. I don't care. We can argue about MMA fighters and organizations, but I'm not talking about politics. So yeah, and then you got Taylor Lapoulos versus Vince Morales in the bantamweight division. Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. That should be a good one. Roosevelt Roberts was in the Ultimate Fighter. Ludovic Klein had some great fights in the past, so that should be a good one in the lightweight division. And then Umar Sai versus Dawoon Jung in the light heavyweight division. And then the last fight in the prelims will be Ian Kutalaba versus Ivan Erslan. That's a light heavyweight fight as well. Ian Kutalaba. Yeah, just Ian Kutalaba is the guy, the Hulk, he calls himself, and he's weighed in with green paint all over him a few different times. So we'll see how he comes out this time. But he's a pretty exciting fighter. He's either getting beat up or beating someone up. But he did lose his last fight by unanimous decision to Felipe Lins back in March of this year. That brings us to the main card. We got Fares Ziam versus Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola is a beast. This fool comes out swinging. He comes out and he starts fast. Oh man. You don't have to because it's my choice. So I'm from America and I have the freedom to do that. So you can you can just deal with that one. But I'm talking for anybody not paying attention, I'm just talking to the chat. But yeah, Ziam 27 years old versus Frevola 34. For Matt Frevola is part of that Longo and Sarah camp. He's had some pretty decent fights. He fought Benoit Saint Denis not that long ago. Unfortunately, he got knocked out in that one. But Frevola's definitely one of those exciting fighters, and you're gonna get. Actually, his last fight was against Saint Denis. Yes, I've been out of the U.S. I said that earlier. But it was a nasty head kick to Frevola by Benoit Saint Denis. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak, and he knocked out Drew Dober. That was tough. Drew Dober's not an easy guy to finish. So yeah, Frevola's definitely one of those guys to watch. His record doesn't say so. He's 5-4 in the UFC, 11-4 overall. Ziam is 5-2 in the UFC. He's only got 4 KO wins. Hasn't been KO'd or TKO'd before, and Frevola's 4-3 in that. Let's see. Divisions are pretty similar. 6-1, 4 decisions, not divisions. And then 5-3 in sub for Ziam, and 3-0 for Frevola. Frevola coming off that loss to Benoit Saint Denis. Ziam is on a 3-fight win streak. Let me check and see who. Claudio Puelas was his last fight, but all those 3 fights that he's won in a row, Jai Herbert and Michael Figlak, all been decision wins. The last one being by split decision. His last loss was Terrence McKinney by submission. So Frevola's never been submitted, so that's something to note there. But yeah, I'm thinking, I mean, for me, this one's kind of tough because you got Ziam coming off that 3-fight win streak, and you know, all those being by decision means if he takes Frevola into deep waters, it might be bad news for Frevola. He's gonna have to come out quick like he does and try to get that big knockout punch like you see here. But it's just one of the it's a toss-up kind of fight. Frevola seems like he's pretty focused and ready to go. And like I said, he's a quick starter, so we might see fireworks quickly in the first fight of the night on the main card. Moving on to Morgan Charriere versus Gabriel Miranda. Charriere is 28 years old. Miranda's 34. A lot of fights on these guys. 19-10 for Charriere and 17-6 for Miranda. 1-1 for both of them in the UFC. So similar records there. Looking to get more wins in that win column for both of them. Charriere's coming off a loss though. Miranda's coming off a win. Look at that, 11-0 KO TKOs for Charriere. So that's a notable stat right there because Miranda's 1-2, but look at his submission, 16-0. Charriere's 3-1, and then by decision, Miranda's 0-4. So it's not good for him when he goes to decision. It looks like he's better on the ground. Charriere's better on his feet. So this looks like a striking versus grappling type match. If you look at the numbers, but you never know what you're going to get with these guys. Charriere's looked pretty impressive in both of his fights in the UFC. It's just he lost that last one by split decision, so it was a close one there. He got that KO by body kick to Manolo Zecchini, and he lost to Jose Mariscal. That was his last fight, was a loss. Miranda's last fight was coming off a win over Shane Young, and he has a loss to Benoit Saint Denis again. So a lot of similar opponents for a lot of these guys on this card. Frevola and Miranda have both fought Saint Denis. And now I'm getting a phone call. But yeah, there's Miranda with the subs because that's what he seems to be the best at. But yeah, that's the second fight of the main card. Let's move on to the next fight. Kevin Jousset versus Brian Battle. Brian Battle being an Ultimate Fighter winner. He's definitely one of those guys to look out for. I mean, he's 5-1 in the UFC, 10-2 overall. Jousset's 2-0, so Brian Battle's trying to take that O away from Jousset. 10-2 overall for both of them. And then you got 4-1 for Jousset and KO TKOs. Brian Battle's 3-0. 1-0 by sub for Jousset. Battle's 5-1. And then you got 5-1 by decision, 2-1 for Battle. They're both on 2-fight win streaks. So yeah, Jousset looking to continue to be undefeated in the UFC. He's got 2 wins so far. One over Kiefer Crosby by submission and one over Kenan Song by decision. That was his last fight back in December of last year. So he hasn't fought at all this year. He's looking to get his first win this year. And then you have Bryan Battle, like I said, Ultimate Fighter winner. Good striker. I mean, he seems to be getting better every time he gets in there. He has his last fight was against Angelosa, the no contest accidental eye poke. That one was a weird one. It was almost like Angelosa kind of walked into Battle's hand and got poked in the eye. I know Bryan Battle's gonna play down a little bit because it didn't seem all that crazy, but they wound up stopping the fight because of it. And then Angelosa came after Bryan Battle and tried to fight him after everything was over. So it was kind of like one of those things where, what the fuck? I mean, if you want to keep fighting, why not just get past the eye thing and keep fighting? Instead, yeah. So that ended in a no contest. But besides that, Battle's on a 2-fight win streak with wins over Gabriel Green and AJ Fletcher. That was a KO and a submission win there. His last loss was to Henat Fakhretdinov, or his only loss, I should say, in the UFC. So I feel like this should be a good one. Bryan Battle's always fun to watch fight. He was good on the Ultimate Fighter. He was definitely one of the guys I was rooting for when I was watching it. And yeah, he's been pretty good in his fights recently. So it's unfortunate what happened in the Losa fight, but you know, those eye pokes happen, and the way that it ended was just strange. So we'll see how he bounces back from that and see how he, you know, recovers and fights against Jousset, who's undefeated. Then we move on to Gomis versus William Gomis versus Joanderson Brito. So this one looks to be a pretty good fight as well. I mean, from both of these guys, I've heard nothing but good stuff about both of them. What the hell? I'm like, nothing's happening again, is it? Everything's being slow. No, I think we're good. Gomis is 13-2 overall, 3-0 in the UFC. Another undefeated fighter here. 7-0 in KO TKOs, 1-1 in subs, 5-1 by decision. He's on a 3-fight win streak. But Brito is on a 5-fight win streak. He lost his debut fight in the UFC, and then he went on a 5-fight win streak. So he hasn't lost since his first fight in the UFC. 7-1 by KO TKO, 8-1 in subs, and 2-1 by decision. So he's lost every which way, but only has one in all of those. And that UFC record, he's only got that one loss. So let's see, he's 17-3 overall. And who's his last fight was against Jack Shore. Not a bad fight there. He got a TKO by Dr. Stoppage in the second round. So Gomis, you know, he's got some good kicks, he's got some good strikes. Let me go back here. Let's see, Giannis Gamori, Francis Marshall, and Jarno Aarons were his 3 wins in the UFC. He's 3-0, like I said. Last win being by TKO, by this body kick here. 2 decisions before that, majority and split. So, I mean, he's, you know, it's kind of a toss-up of what's going to happen, but he seems like a pretty exciting fighter to watch. And against Brito, this should be a tough fight for him. But if he pulls it off, that'd be good for him fighting in, you know, in France, where he's from. And then you got Brito. Let's see, who else? No other big. Well, he did beat Andre Fili. That was his first win in the UFC after losing to Bill Algeo, and that started his 5-fight win streak. Let's see, TKO submission, KO submission, TKO decision. So his only losses by decision. Everything else is submission or TKO. So he's going out there looking for that finish, and that's definitely something that he'll be looking for and ready to go out and get in that first round and take away that undefeated record of William Gomis. Moving on to the co-main event. I guess oh, wow, that would be why. Okay, I'm like, what's happening here? All kinds of technical stuff happening tonight. That's all right. I felt a little off today, and I was like, you know what? I hope this doesn't carry over into the show. no big deal. It's not like it's been bad, but you know, it throws you off once the stream went down and I wasn't able to recover it like I was hoping to, and have to start a new one. That kind of sucked. So hopefully this will turn out okay. It just sucks that it had to start over like it did, but that's all right. A little bit off, no big deal. Everyone has an off day, I guess. But we'll just keep going here amidst all of the issues. Noctane Imavov versus Brendan Allen. This one I'm excited for. Imavov's definitely one of those guys that brings the fight to his opponent, and Brendan Allen is he puts his head down and swings. So, but he's got really good submissions. I mean, his striking isn't even the best thing. He's one of those guys that gets hit a lot, but also lands a lot of shots of his own. But his submissions are really where he's dangerous. 14-1 by submissions, 5-2 by KO TKO, 12-2 in the UFC. A lot of fights in the UFC. That's 14 fights. Damn. 24-5 overall. He's on a 7-fight win streak. So he's definitely a dangerous opponent for Imavov, who's 14-4 overall, 6-2 in the UFC, 6-0 by KO TKO, which is kind of bad news for Allen because, like I said, Brendan Allen gets hit a lot. And that's just one of those things that he's got to watch out for, because he just comes in reckless and he can get caught early. But if it goes down to the ground, that's where he's dangerous, like I said before. And Imavov is 4-1 by submissions, so a winning record there, but he has lost that way. So that's something to watch out for with those 14 submission wins for Brendan Allen. 4-3 by decision for Imavov, and he's on a 2-fight win streak. So let's look at Imavov. Let me get to it here, see if things stop acting funky for me. Noctane Imavov fighting in his home country. Last wins were over Jared Cannonier and Roman Dolidze. He had a no contest for the accidental clash of heads to Chris Curtis, and before that he lost to Sean Strickland. But I am showing Sean Strickland getting punched here because that's what I like to do. It shows Sean Strickland getting punched. That's always fun. But yeah, he's definitely got the striking. That's a nasty knee against Joaquin Buckley. Before that loss to Strickland, he was on a 3-fight win streak with wins over Joaquin Buckley, Edmund Shabazian, and Ian Heinisch. Pretty good opponents there. Nasty knee here on Buckley, but that was a unanimous decision win for him. So Buckley survived that knee. But he had the 2 TKOs before that, elbows and punches. And then his last fight was a TKO as well over Jared Cannonier. So he's definitely a stand-up fighter, and he's looking for those finishes. And here's that one against Dolidze. That was a majority decision for him. So yeah, he's going to be bringing the fight to Brendan Allen, but Brendan Allen is going to look to hopefully survive on the feet and get it to the ground with those big submissions that he has. 14 submission wins and only 1 loss by submission. That's crazy. Out of all of his fights. And on top of that, I mean, he has some decent striking, as you can see here. But yeah, he's dangerous on the feet because he can get hit, and he tends to get hit a lot. His last win was over Chris Curtis by split decision. He's also beat Paul Craig, Bruno Silva, Andre Muniz, Christoph Jocko, and Sam Alvey. There's a lot of big names there. Mostly by submission, a couple by decision. His last loss was to Chris Curtis as well. And that was by TKO. So him and Chris Curtis are 1-1. But he's fought a lot of guys. He has a loss to Sean Strickland too, but he has a win over Kevin Holland. So a lot of names in that fight history for him. And there he is with the big sub. That's what he's best at, most known for. So we'll see if we get a sub out of him. If he can handle Imavov on the feet, then we'll see if he survives that and makes his way to the ground to hopefully get a submission for him. And that brings us to the main event. And I kind of flew through this. I don't know. With the with the issues and stuff, it happens. There wasn't a lot to talk about. I even had some interaction in the chat, and still coming up on only an hour, and we're about to finish here, but that's okay. A little bit shorter every once in a while is not bad, especially when there's not a ton going on. So I'm gonna have to do some splicing of video and stuff anyway after this in order to get it out to get the audio version out. So it is what it is. Hopefully Rick Allen didn't take offense to the fact that I didn't answer his question, but I was tired of talking about it. So, but hit me up in the chat if you want to talk about something other than politics, because we're here to talk about combat sports and MMA. So moving on to the main event of UFC Paris, you got Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. Saint Denis coming off that loss to Dustin Poirier. So I mean, that's a hell of an opponent there, and that was a crazy fight. And you know, a lot of people were counting out Dustin Poirier because Benoit Saint Denis looked like a killer. And yeah, Poirier was able to pull that one out in a big way. But Saint Denis 5-2 in the UFC, 13-2 overall, 4-1 by KO TKO, 9-0 in submissions, 0-1 by decision, and coming off a loss, like I said, to Dustin Poirier. And then you got Renato Moicano, 19-5 overall, 11-5 in the UFC, 1-3 by KO TKO. That's tough. 10-1 by submissions though, so this could turn into a great submission match with both of these guys having a lot of wins by submission. Benoit Saint Denis never being submitted, and Renato Moicano only having one loss by submission. So, but that KO TKO line is tough, man, especially with Saint Denis, who can definitely, you know, bang with the best of them. And with that 4-1 record there, that's something that Moicano needs to look out for. But he is slick. He does have good fight IQ, and he could definitely get it to the ground and maybe get it to the ground and maybe get that submission. Sorry, getting some work phone calls here. But yeah, Moicano's on a 4-fight win streak, so that's a big difference there between him and Saint Denis. Moicano coming off some pretty big wins. Did I put 4? How did I messed that up. That's actually a 3-fight win streak for him. I must have double checked that too. That sucks, but that's all right. Moicano has some decent striking, you know, landing good shots on Jalen Turner, and he actually beat Jalen Turner by TKO, elbows and punches. Jalen Turner is not an easy guy to finish, especially on the feet. And beating him in the second round by TKO, that's a hell of a feat for Moicano, so it might be looking better for him in that manner, because Jalen Turner is a fucking beast. Like, his limbs are so damn long, and he hits very hard. So for Moicano to beat him by TKO is a big thing for him. He also beat Drew Dober by unanimous decision, and Brad Riddell by submission. His last loss was to Rafael dos Anjos. That was a unanimous decision loss to him. There's a big punch against Drew Dober. Let's see. He also has a win over Jai Herbert, a loss to Rafael Fiziev, and a loss to Jose Aldo. I mean, he's got a lot of fights, a lot of big names. Cub Swanson, Chan Sung Jung, Kelvin Cater, Brian Ortega. He's lost to the really big names, but he's got some wins over some other big names as well. So, you know, Moicano is definitely one of those guys that is trying very hard to climb that ladder and make his way to a title fight. But he's gonna have to get past Benoit Saint Denis. Is not an easy feat. Saint Denis also good with the submissions, like I said, coming off that loss to Dustin Poirier back in March by KO. But he's beaten Frevola, Thiago Moises, Islam Bonfim, Gabriel Miranda, Nicholas Stoltz. Let's see, his last loss before Poirier was Alessio Selesky dos Santos. Doesn't have as many big names. Doesn't have as many big names on his record as Moicano, but he's been looking pretty good before that Poirier fight. Like I said, KO lost there for Poirier, but then KO by head kick, TKO submission. Those were his 5 wins. So yeah, I mean, he definitely comes out for the finish, or else he gets finished. So not a lot of decisions in that record. So you're definitely looking at some action for Benoit Saint Denis against Renato Moicano. And I didn't make any full picks for the whole main card like I usually do. But yeah, there's that big front kick to Frevola, and then a big right there against Miranda, who's also fighting on this card. But I didn't make any full picks for the card. I kind of forgot. I haven't really been doing it for the fight nights, I guess. Maybe I'll get back into doing that, but I did place a bet because I saw a little tip on TikTok. There's a lot of MMA bettors on TikTok. So I did place a bet. Let me go look real fast so I can make 100% sure. And it was talking about one of those bets being, kind of one of those underdog parlays that is almost sure to hit. So I'm hoping that is the case, because I need a win when it comes to betting. So William Gomis, Kevin Jousset, and Nora Cornell for the win money line. There's a 3-pick parlay there, plus 21, plus 2,121. So $10 to win $222. I'd be pretty happy if I won that one. So I didn't do anything crazy. One bet. I usually don't bet on the fight night cards. I usually only bet on the pay-per-views, but something told me to make that bet today, so I did. Or yesterday, whenever it was, I made it. So I'm throwing $10 in. We'll see what happens. I think I might. This fight card also is gonna be starting at let's see. What was it? 9 a.m. for the prelim cards on the here over in Arizona. It'll be 9 a.m. And then the main card starts at 12 noon. So it's gonna be an early card because it's happening in France, obviously. So don't miss that. I think I'm going to be busy doing some other stuff during the day, so I might not get to watch every one. I'll be looking out, though, and checking for all those results. Are we back? Okay. God damn it. It cut out again for a second. I don't know what's going on today, but good thing I'm ending here because apparently things are just not wanting to cooperate. I think Rick Allen put a hex on me or something because he didn't like my answers. I don't know why I'm giving him so much airtime here, but I just thought it was funny. But yeah, that does it. I mean, yeah, sucks that it started that way. Hopefully this will hold up for the next couple minutes. I just wanted to go through here and I don't know, finish up with my ending. Man, this is going to be a tough one because, yeah, it sucks that it's a shorter stream, shorter podcast, but it is what it is, especially when it starts off rough like that. But yeah, you can always go and listen to the audio version on Spotify, videos on Spotify too, but I'd appreciate it more if you watch here, get me the views and like the video and stuff like that on YouTube. That's way more beneficial. Help me grow the channel, not grope the channel, grow the channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please do that. And if you haven't liked the video yet, please do that as well. Don't forget to share it with somebody. And yeah, just help me grow the channel here. I just do this for fun because I'm passionate about it and stuff like that. But I do have a sponsor. And a lot of people who just get on here and do stuff might not have a sponsor, and that's okay. But I got lucky enough to have one, and that's Noctane Smelling Salts. So go check out that QR code right there. It'll take you straight to their website. Smelling salts are good stuff. I like it. It definitely keeps you alert, wakes you up, helps me when I'm on those long, tiresome drives. Helps me. I take a little hit off this every time I'm about to start the podcast, sometimes throughout the podcast. Good, strong stuff. Red cap is the most potent. White cap is the least. There's one in the middle. And it's a black cap. They can put scents to it, so you don't have to get that harsh ammonia smell. You can get some good smelling stuff while getting that good energy boost you need. So go check that out. Noctane Smelling Salts. Appreciate the sponsorship. And the fact that I like smelling salts. I use them a lot. So a lot of power lifters use them for that quick adrenaline rush before they do a heavy lift. Lots of people use them in lots of different ways. So go check it out. Get yourself a bottle, try it out. And if you like it, go back and get some more when it's time. Noctane Smelling Salts, the sponsor of the podcast. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who was in here. Rick Allen, even though your questions are off the wall sometimes and you're constantly threatening to kick my ass, that's okay. Canadians, I'm not too scared unless you're GSP. But yeah, so my mom was in there, so thank you, Mom, for joining in. My wife was helping me in the background, shooting me texts about stuff because all the technical difficulties is not good. Cold Art Maker is always in here in the beginning, so appreciate him too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like I said. Hopefully I get everything worked out, but if you want to hear the whole show without the interruption in between, go check out. Or if you're watching this later and you notice at the beginning was a little cut off, it's weird. It's because I had some technical difficulties. The internet went out for a second. Couldn't recover my previous stream that I had going, so I had to start a new one. But if you want to hear it all, I'm gonna put it all together and you'll get to hear it on Spotify. So there it is right there. Going Around's podcast on Spotify. Go follow me there and listen to the audio only version, or you can watch the video there too. And you can get it anywhere else you get your podcasts as well. So that's it for me. I'm gonna cut it off before my internet goes out again because I don't know what's going on around here today, but that sucked. I'm gonna club and so you're still here and still talking shit, Rick. All right. Shit. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Come back next Thursday. Enjoy the fights. Don't forget they start early. So 9 a.m. Arizona time, 12 p.m. for the main card. It's early. Don't miss it. If you're anywhere else, figure out the time. Go to Google UFC event. It'll tell you what time in your area if you have your location turned on. So that's it for me. I'm out of here. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Take it easy. I'm out. Peace.